Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. You guys, I'm so excited to start making these vlogs. Today we are doing a grazing table for 80 people and I am so excited. So it's for my friend, so she's going to be there at the event and it's for her mom's retirement party. So I'm just so excited. It's gonna be so much fun. I usually do shorts. As you guys know, I'm posting a lot of shorts on YouTube, but I was like, why not? I need to start getting into the vlogging. So here we are. I'm very excited. I got Summer Moon coffee. If you are in Austin, Texas or anywhere that has Summer Moon, I highly recommend. I get the quarter winter moon and it's so good. I also add a shot and a couple pumps of hazelnut. So good. I just also dropped my son off at my mom's house, so he's there for the day. I am kid-free and ordinarily I'd be showing you guys me with all my coolers, but in this case for the grazing table, my friend's mom went and bought all of the stuff because she wanted to. So I'm just arriving to set all the stuff up at her house that she already bought, if that makes any sense. I am actually going to H-E-B right now to pick up some greenery, so I'll show you guys what I get from H-E-B. But if you're making a grazing table, you want to prep at least 2 hours before the party starts to make the table. So I'm on my way and let's go. Ooh, this is nice. See, y'all, I'm used to my Kia Soul where it did not let me know if someone was behind me. And now I'm living my best life in a car that has a back rear view mirror. I'm shocked by all this, honestly. Oh, it was in neutral. Oh, y'all. I bought this camera back in 2019 and I'm just like finally pulling it out to start making content with it. So if you feel like you want to start making content, just start with a dumb video that you think is stupid but it's not. And I don't know, you never know where it can take you. And I always recommend that to my students too. If you take my charcuterie business course and you want to learn how to do this as a business, that's what I teach, is like how to market yourself on social media, because it's so important in order to make money online. So y'all, we're running late, so actually I do need to go. Okay, I'm at H-E-B and here's a couple tips. If you're making a grazing table, you want to make sure you're prepping all of the cheese and meat before you're arriving. If you're doing a grazing table for your friends and family and it's in your own home, then that's actually great and you can just pull out all the stuff from the fridge and prep it right on the spot. Once you prep all the food, you're able to then take it on the table and I'll show you guys what that looks like later. Right now, I'm going to H-E-B to grab a couple things that I feel like elevates a table. For example, figs are a big one. So if you take a fig, if they're in season, cut it in half, put it up on the table. It just looks beautiful and I just love the way it looks. Tiny tomatoes are a big one that I love. Rosemary and sage really add to the table. And of course, florals. So greenery, florals, edible flowers is really good. Unfortunately, only Central Market carries edible flowers, or you can get it online. If you guys are looking for edible flowers, the website that I use is called Botanical Gardens from San Diego, California. The shipping is very expensive, I will say, and it comes with bulk, so there's a lot of flowers that come with it. So only do that if you're super serious about edible flowers. Otherwise, you can go to somewhere like Central Market or possibly Whole Foods to get little flowers. That works great too. Honestly, I wish that H-E-B had edible flowers because I would definitely get that and it would definitely add to the table, but since they don't, I have no other choice. So I just have to go and I'm gonna get my normal greenery florals that can't really go on or in the food because they're not edible. I put them around the food though, and I know I have some of you guys that are very much against that. I respect your opinions, but I've never had any problems whatsoever with doing that. So please be nice to me in the comments. Okay, let's go. These are really cute. I'm gonna grab these Italian ruscus. These are perfect little tiny tomatoes. We'll do something like this where it's on the vine. Excuse me, do you know where the figs are? Figs? Yeah. I believe they're on the very first aisle. Okay. Here are the figs that I was talking about. These are perfect for a table. Okay, I just checked out and I got about 5 different types of greenery. So for every like 6 feet of table, you want to get probably like 5 bunches of greenery. And then I got 1 flower. You can choose anything that you like that you think that would look good on the table. I chose these cute peach roses. Also got some figs, and I got these really pretty tomatoes. They just look gorgeous on a table. So this is kind of my contribution to make it look pretty on top of the food that was already bought from the shopping list that I gave my friend. I'm here with my best friend. Learn how to make a grazing table. How do you feel about that?
I'm excited.
Hey, so I'm realizing halfway as I'm watching this that I need to give some context into what is happening, because when you start to do a grazing table, it feels like the walls are just like closing in because you only have a certain amount of time until your guests arrive. And I was feeling stressed at this point, especially since it was for my best friend's mom. I wanted to make sure that it was a perfect party. So yes, let me give you some context. So with the grazing table, when you arrive, you want to have about 6 feet of table for say every 50 to 60 people, right? So this party was a little over 80 guests. So because I was staying for the party, I knew that if I needed to fill in some blank spots as people started to eat, I could. So I had some extra cheese stored away for that. Something that's really good to note is that when you have a grazing table and you're wanting to set out props, placing the butcher paper down first, then the props, and then the cheese and meat, and then starting from there. So she had some boards that I could borrow. That way I could just leave and I didn't have to worry about, you know, cleaning up after if I wanted to leave early or whatever that looked like. If you're doing this at your house, I recommend kind of gathering some boards you have. You'd be surprised if you just open your cabinets actually how much you have, whether that's like some boards or some platters or bowls. You can just use those types of things. One of my biggest tips when putting down grapes is getting scissors out and cutting the stems. So not cutting the stems off, but like cutting the grapes in little bunches. I used to put big bunches of grapes, but I realized that the more I did grazing tables, it looks so much better when you cut and do little bunches on the table. And like I said, you never want to have blue, blue grapes go with a blue something else, like a blue dip. You never want to have green grapes go with green cucumbers, or you never want to have something white, like white brie, go with something else that's white. You want to make sure all the colors are different on the table, so that when you're all done, the colors don't match together, if that makes sense. Doing smaller groups of things always looks better to me. I occasionally have done tables where I do like big groups of grapes or big spilling groups of strawberries, but I find that it's way cuter when I do little groups of it. But you definitely want to find your style if you're doing this as a business, but if you're just doing this for a one-time party type of thing, I just recommend doing it in small bunches. Grapes just like that, I place them all over the table, and as you can see here, my friend is helping me out, which honestly was a huge help because I was a little stressed. And my best friend's grandma helped. So this is like such a fun thing to do with your family. Like if you just want to have a celebration, throw a party, and do a grazing table, it's such a good way to get all of your family members involved, and it's very bonding and so fun to do. So I definitely recommend doing it. So as you can see in the video, I cut the oranges in half and I just placed them up near the greenery because I'm assuming most people aren't going to go for a whole orange. It's more for decoration, since also it's covering the stems that the greenery has, so that kind of makes it look prettier as well. So cutting the brie cheese this is probably the most important thing when you're making a charcuterie board or a grazing table. Depending on what kind of brie cheese you got, you can see here, this one is from Costco, so it's a huge massive wheel of brie cheese. You're just gonna cut it in half and then cut it again, and then you're gonna make really small tiny wedges. So on the table, your wedges will basically fan out on the table, and also it'll be good for people to just grab one wedge and go, and it'll be enough food, enough brie cheese for them. So don't put too big of a hunk of cheese on the table, or else people are gonna have to grab that whole thing of cheese and it gets weird. So definitely recommend doing little small wedges, that way people can just easily pick them up. One thing that I do get off Amazon are the little honeycombs, and you'll see in the video that I just stick the honeycomb in the honey, and that kind of tells people what it is. Same thing with the fig jam. For the fig jam, I buy fresh figs and I cut them in half and then I stick them in the fig jam, so that kind of lets everyone know what dip they're going for instead of giving the small little papers. I just don't recommend labeling this charcuterie table, specifically because the small papers can easily fall into the food and it gets really gross. So especially after a long party when a lot of people have gone through the food, the label ends up not even staying on where it's supposed to be and people are still confused. So I recommend to not do that. And if you're having something like strawberry jam for brunch, you're gonna cut open a strawberry and put it just in the dip, kind of like standing up on the side of the bowl. That way people know what it is. Same with the fig jam, I cut the fig in half and stick it in the bowl. Totally up to you if you want to do croissants. For me, I decided to do croissants just because I think it looks pretty, and honestly, people love croissants. Like, even though it does take up a lot of space on the charcuterie table or board that you're working with, it is so yummy, and people will often make sandwiches with them. They'll open up the croissant and they will put cheese and meat in there, so that always works good. And for the French baguette, instead of putting it on the table, I ran out of time. The best thing you can do is grab a big wooden bowl or platter and put it off to the side, because you don't want the table to look super messy if you just throw stuff on last minute. So if you're running out of time, the best thing to do is just throw everything into a bowl, like especially if you're doing your you know, breads or your crackers, just throw it into a bowl. It's hard to style anyway, so just a bowl to the side works great. Okay, as for olives, you guys are gonna hate me for this, but olives honestly look better when they're not in a bowl, which I know is not good. If you don't like olives, then you're not gonna want olive juice all over the other cheese and meat. But my biggest tip for this is draining the olives beforehand and then putting them kind of in 3 or 4 bunches on the table next to a meat or a cheese, and it shouldn't leak out too much. I just find it looks prettier than putting the olives into a bowl, but it's totally up to you. Another thing I do instead of olives is the cornucopio's, I think is the right way you pronounce it. And those are the tiny little pickles that they're not dill and they're not sweet, but they're kind of in the middle, like a sour pickle. And they're so good with charcuterie. My favorite is from Trader Joe's, and that's the one I always pick up. But this time my friend's mom went to Costco instead, so I had her pick up some of those olives. And plus the older generation, I feel like, loves olives. And so did my best friend. So I don't know, but olives can be your best friend, and they can look really cute if you don't put them in the bowl, in my opinion. Of course, you can do whatever you like, but that's just what I did for this table. Okay, something that's really important if you're having like a huge crowd to feed, I really recommend doing these salami rolls that are if you can see that, they're already pre-rolled, and you just get them from the store. It makes your life so much easier, and they still look cute because you're gonna stack them all together and put them next to the bread or something, and it'll still look amazing. But instead of having to fold all of the salami, that is a better option to do. Prosciutto is really hard to style on a table, so I would not even bother with doing prosciutto, however you say it. I wouldn't even bother with doing that, because you can just stick to something that's easy, like this little roll. Super easy. Okay, so a couple times in my charcuterie business career, I've had a few people that are nut free, so they don't want any nuts on the table, which is totally understandable, because if one nut, if you're allergic, touches something else, you can definitely be sick from that. So the thing I recommend if you're wanting to do no nuts is, first of all, check all your cheeses, because sometimes they're sneaky and they put nuts in there. Second thing is check your dips. If you have any dips that you're putting out, make sure there's no nuts. And then third thing, instead of filling all of the cracks and holes with dips, you're gonna use something like a dried blueberry instead that you guys saw in this video. Or you can use something like cranberries. You could even use like something like, if you're doing a brunch table, you could do some granola in the cracks, but something else besides nuts. So that's what we did here. And honestly, it turned out really cute. And it was kind of random because it was like, what are dried blueberries? But it makes the table look pretty, so I think it was worth it. To be completely honest, this table ended up a little bit messier than I would have liked because I was in such a rush. So that's why I really recommend at least spending 2 to 3 hours setting up the table. And if you're uncomfortable with the cheeses being out for too long, you can definitely start with the fruit instead. You can start with the bread instead, and then slowly work your way to the cheeses and the meats. But definitely recommend doing it at least 2 to 3 hours before the event starts, so before people are arriving. The last thing that people always seem to forget is definitely leaving out any tongs. So I get my bamboo tongs from Amazon, and everything you need to build a grazing table is linked in my Amazon storefront. So go ahead there, I'll link it down below, and you can see anything that you would need to build a grazing table you're just gonna get from Amazon. So the butcher paper, the tongs, the mini forks, the plates, the napkins, all of that is on my Amazon storefront. But definitely don't forget the tongs, because people are not gonna wanna go and pick it up with their hands. They're gonna wanna use those little tongs to go here and there. Another thing I recommend is maybe having some silverware out next to the table, whether that's the mini forks or that's maybe some plastic or bamboo wooden knives or forks. Super important to have next to the table, because people will be like, how do I eat this? Especially if they've never really had a charcuterie board before at a party, they're not gonna know how to eat it. So definitely put those out and don't leave them. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope that this was fun. I am currently packing to move from Austin, so I'm definitely gonna be hopping on here more and kind of showing a day in my life, whether that's making a charcuterie table or just motherhood life. So definitely subscribe and stick around. I'm really happy you're here, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.